Good morning, friends. You are most welcome to Think IS channel. Today we are discussing the Kurukshet magazine. Our topic is Empowering Rural Communities. Author is Dr. H.L. Sharma. The empowerment of rural communities depends largely upon ameliorating the economic lot of farmers, rural women, unprivileged section of the society, and above all the rural youth. In order to make growth truly inclusive, it is imperative to provide for financial services to all sections of the society, particularly to the rural poor, at reasonable rates, ensure them against income shocks during emergencies, and above all mobilize their small savings. Development of rural areas occupies a special significance in the overall socio-economic development of a country like India, where nearly 68.84% of the total population and 72.4% of workforce reside in rural areas. The major economic problems faced by the rural people are poverty, unemployment, and inequality. The solution of these economic problems is of utmost importance for achieving growth with justice and empowering the rural communities. The thrust of government's economic policies enunciated during the plan era of development has been to bring about an overall socio-economic development coupled with a balanced regional development of the economy with a special emphasis on rural areas. Rural urban divide. Rural urban divide. The rural urban divide in India is so prominent that per capita income in rural areas is even less than the half of that in urban areas. Per capita net value added in the rural areas is merely 40,925 rupees as against 98,435 rupees in urban areas. There is a huge gap between the proportion of population living below poverty line in rural and urban areas. As per the Economic Survey 2019-20, the poverty head count ratio stood at 25.7% in rural areas as compared to 13.7% in urban areas in 2011-12. The average urban worker earns around 8.3 times more than average agricultural labor. There is large gap between income of farm and non-farm workers also. An average non-farm workers earns nearly 2.8 times more than a farmer worker or a farm worker. Not only this, the rural average monthly per capita expenditure MPCE, rural average monthly per capita expenditure MPCE, stood at 1430 rupees as against 2630 rupees in urban areas during the same year. If the current trends in rural economy, particularly agricultural sector, are not changed, there will hardly be any improvement in the lot of rural community. Extent of rural financial inclusion. A large proportion of population in rural areas has an inadequate access to financial services at affordable prices, which is major factor behind their economic backwardness. As per population census 2011, of the total 16.78 crore rural household, only 54.44% have access to formal banking facilities in India. Not only this, according to NABARD All India Rural Financial Inclusion Survey NAFIS, All India Rural Financial Inclusion Survey NAFIS 2016-17, 30% of agricultural households still avail credit from non-institutional sources at exorbitant exorbitant rates of interest, putting themselves into the clutch of moneylenders and ultimately fall into debt trap. Among the institutional sources of agricultural credit, a line share, 79%. It is a big. is contributed by scheduled commercial banks, followed by 15% disbursed by cooperatives. Here there is a figure which shows outreach of formal banking in India, household percentage. Census 2001 and Census 2011, there is a comparison. In rural area, Census 2001 30.11%, and in urban areas, in rural areas 30.11%, Census 2001, Census 2011 54.54%. Urban areas, Census 2001 49.52% and 67.77% 2011 census. 2001 census total 35.54% and 2011 census 58.7%. What is the source? Source is Department of Financial Services, Ministry of Finance, Government of India. Figure second, which shows sources of agriculture credit in India 2015. Sources NABARD All India Rural Financial Inclusion Survey 2016-17. Non-institutional 30%, institutional 61%, and both is 9%. Figure 3, sources of institutional agriculture credit in India 2015. Scheduled commercial bank, which is 79%, RRB 5%, cooperative 15%, and 1% is microfinancial institution, MFI. Sources RBI report internal working group or to review agriculture credit, September 6, 2019. Initiatives to bridge rural-urban divide, realizing the need to boost the income of rural households, particularly those involved in farming sector. The government in the Union Budget 2016-17 had announced its resolution to double the farmers' income by the year 2022, when the nation will celebrate 75th year of the independence. In order to achieve this gigantic goal within the stipulated time period, impetus is being given to the farm as well as non-farm activities. In addition to boosting income from crop cultivation, the focus of attention is on promoting allied and non-farm activities in rural areas so that farmers can get gainful employment in these activities during the slack season. In this context, financial inclusion and digitization can play a crucial to provide basic banking facilities to the poor and excluded sections of the society. In order to make growth truly inclusive, it is imperative to provide formal financial services to the all sections of the society, particularly to the rural poor, at reasonable rates, ensure them against income shocks during emergencies, and above all mobilized their small savings. It further calls for a sound and progressive banking system to broaden and deepen the reach of banking services at the doorstep of financially excluded section in the hinterland. Financial inclusion in India. India began the journey of its financial inclusion as early as in 1955 with the nationalization of Imperial Bank of India and renaming it as State Bank of India. Subsequently, 14 private sector banks in July 1969 and 6 banks in April 1980 were also nationalized. The main objective of the nationalization of banks was to ensure banking activities in those sectors and areas which previously remained neglected. Thus, the steps taken by the government towards financial inclusion are traced long back to the mid 50s. But this concept became popular and gained momentum only after the year 2004, when the Reserve Bank of India set up a commission, Khan Commission, to make recommendation for greater financial inclusion. To commensurate their banking policies and practices in accordance with the recommendations of the Commission. Commercial banks started offering to zero balance accounts, popularly known as no frills accounts, and insurance of general credit cards to their clientele, either with nil or a very low balance. In 2011, the government launches Swabhiman scheme mandating bank to open an outlet in every village with the population of over 2000 by March 2012 or March 2012. Later on, the scheme was extended the cover village. Later on, the scheme was extended to cover villages with population of at least 1600. Under this scheme, financial institution appointed commission agents to provide financial services at the doorsteps of the public in remote rural areas where they were unable to open branches. A scheme for financial inclusion. Many schemes and programs have been launched by the government with special impetus to bring the financially excluded persons to the mainstream and create financial awareness among them. In order to provide access to basic financial services to the weaker section and low income groups, Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana PMJDY was launched on August 28, 2014. The plan envisages universal access to bank facilities for every household with at least one basic bank account, easy access to credit, insurance and pension, remittance facility and financial literacy. The beneficiary account holders get RuPay debit card with inbuilt accident insurance cover of rupees 1 lakh. All government financial benefits are channelized through the PMJDY Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana account of the beneficiaries. Of late, the focus of PMJDY has been shifting from opening of accounts for every household to every unbanked adult. As on June 3, 2020, total number of account holders under PMJDY Jan Dhan Yojana were to the tune of 39.04 crore. Its inclusive aspect is evident from the fact that 24.62 crore, that is more than 63% account holders, were rural or semi-urban, and 21.39 crore, nearly 55%, were women. In addition, 1.26 lakh bank mitras have been delivering banking services, delivering branchless banking services. Around 1.26 lakh bank mitras have been delivering branchless banking services. Jan Dhan Aadhaar Mobile GeM Trinity provides a unique opportunity to transfer all benefits and subsidies of various social welfare schemes in the form of direct benefit transfer DBT to the account of beneficiaries. It is the initiative by Government of India to link Jan Dhan accounts with Aadhaar and mobile numbers of the account holders to directly transfer subsidies and other financial benefits to the account of the intended beneficiaries and eliminate all the intermediaries leakages. In fact, GeM Trinity, Jan Dhan Aadhaar Mobile Trinity can act as a driving force to empower the rural communities by providing social security to them. In this decision and direction, identification of eligible individuals has become easy through the Aadhaar database. After identifying eligible beneficiaries, the process of transferring of money has been significantly eased by opening zero balance accounts under the Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana. The digital payment mechanism supported by mobile payment technology is of greater use to get money into people's hands instantly and securely with easy and convenient service delivery. With the launch of GeM services, Jan Dhan Aadhaar Mobile Trinity services, there has been a significant improvement in terms of targeted and accurate payments without any delay, duplication and leakages. Digital India is another flagship program of Government of India to empower rural communities. It was launched on July 1, 2015 with a vision to transform India into a digitally empowered society and knowledge economy. It focuses on the three vision areas. First, development of the secure and stable digital infrastructure. Second, electronically deliver integrated government services across departments by improved internet infrastructure and connectivity. Third, universal digital empowerment of citizens through digital literacy. The overall goal is to bring transformation in the country by making every household digitally literate to make India the global knowledge hub, with information technology being a major driving force. In this context, National Optical Fiber Network, renamed as BharatNet, is also an ambitious initiative to trigger high-speed broadband network in rural area. It aims to connect all the 2.5 lakh gram panchayats spread over 6,600 blocks through high-speed broadband fiber optic cable by March 2020. The rural areas are expected to witness a revolution in the service like e-governance, e-health, e-education, e-banking, e-commerce, etc. through BharatNet. In order to impart digital literacy in the rural areas of the country, on October 7, 2017, Pradhan Mantri Gramin Digital Saksharta Abhiyan PMG Disha was launched in the aim to empower at least one person per rural household with crucial digital literacy skills. Under this Abhiyan, rural people between the age group of the 14 to 60 years are trained without any fee to operate computers, tablets, smartphones, etc. to access government e-services, undertake digital payment, send and receive emails through the use of internet. The scheme aims at bridging the rural-urban digital divide with a special emphasis on marginalized section of the society, SC/ST, minorities, below poverty line, women and differently abled persons. The objective of the scheme is to empower the rural people by making them information technology savvy and actively participate in the process of the nation building. Pradhan Mantri Gramin Digital Saksharta Abhiyan is expected to make nearly 6 crore rural persons digitally literate, reaching to around 40% rural household by covering one member from every eligible household in the country by March 2020. Due to widespread digital literacy, there has been a significant growth in digital transaction in the country. Still, there remain the issue relating to poor connectivity of financial institutions, dormant accounts, etc. In order to widen financial inclusion in hinterland, small financial banks SFB have been set up in India. The objective of the setting up of these banks is to promote financial inclusion in those areas where extending banking services to the unserved and underserved sections of the population is a challenge to the commercial banks. The SFBs are providing banking facilities to the small and marginal farmers, small business enterprises, rural artisans, micro and small industries, and other unorganized sectors through their modern technology, low cost banking operations. In fact, financial inclusion should be coupled with financial literacy and education, whereas the financial inclusion works from the supply side of the providing financial services, whereas financial inclusion works from the supply side of providing financial services. Financial education, on the other hand, works from the demand side by promoting awareness among the masses regarding the available financial products, choose the right product, and understand the mechanism for availing the services. In order to promote financial literacy and awareness among the populace in the country, RBI has issued guidelines to the banks to create Centers for Financial Literacy (CFL) and make use of various tools for dissemination of financial awareness. The financial literacy centers of banks have been advised to organize target specific financial literacy camps involving local community and self-help groups. It has also been decided to observe 1 week in a year as Financial Literacy Week starting from the year 2017. Scheme for Social Security. The empowerment of rural communities depends largely upon ameliorating, ameliorating the economic lot of farmers, rural women, unprivileged section of the society, and above all the rural youth. In order to provide an assured income support to small and marginal farmers, the cash transfer scheme is sponsored by the Government of India, namely Pradhan Mantri Kisan Samman Nidhi (PM Kisan), is effectively from 1 December 2018. It become effective from December 1st, 2018. PM Kisan. Under this scheme, an income support of rupees 6,000 per year is provided to all eligible farmers' families, irrespective of the size of the land holdings. As per the statement of Agricultural Ministry, the government has transferred the amount of rupees 19,100.77 crore to the bank accounts of 9.65 crore farmers under the PM Kisan up to the May 2020. As the first installment of current financial year. Under Pradhan Mantri Suraksha Bima Yojana PMSBY, renewable 1 year risk coverage of 2 lakh rupees for accidental death or fully disability and rupees 1 lakh for the partial disability is given to the subscribing bank account holders in the age group of 18 to 70 years for the small premium of rupees 12 per annum. Another insurance product with a risk cover of 2 lakh rupees under Pradhan Mantri Jeevan Jyoti Bima Yojana PMJJBY is made available to all subscribing bank account holders in the age group of 18 to 50 years with a premium of rupees 330 per annum. Both these schemes are being offered by general insurance companies with necessary approvals and tie-up with banks for this purpose, showing concerns for the old age income security and financial needs of the working poor. A pension product named Atal Pension Yojana APY, guaranteed by the Government of India, has also been made available to the workers in the unorganized sector. The Atal Pension Yojana is available for those workers in the age group of 18 to 40 years who are not covered by any statutory social security schemes and are not income taxpayers. Under the scheme, the workers are encouraged to voluntarily save and contribute for their retirement. The Government of India co-contributes 50% of the subscriber's contribution or 1000 rupees per annum, whichever is lower. The subscribers after completing 60 years of age will receive fixed monthly pension ranging from 1000 rupees to rupees 5000 depending on the contributions made. The Pradhan Mantri Vaya Vandana Yojana is a pension scheme launched with effect from May 4, 2017 by the Government of India exclusively for the senior citizens aged 60 years and above. Its main objective is to provide social security and to safeguard elderly persons against future fall in their interest income due to the uncertain market conditions. The scheme is implemented through the Life Insurance Corporation of India (LIC) and provides an insurance return of 7.40% per annum for 10 years. The pensioners has an option to choose either the amount of pension or the purchase price. The scheme was earlier open for subscription up to March 31st, 2020 but now has been extended till March 31st, 2023. The maximum pension admissible under the scheme is now 10,000 rupees per month. With a move towards attaining universal social security, On May 31st, 2019, the government approved a new scheme that offers pension cover to the trading community. All shopkeepers, retail traders, and self employed persons with GST turnover below 1.5 crore rupees and aged between 18 to 40 years are eligible to enroll for the scheme. Under this scheme, they are assured a minimum monthly pension of rupees 3,000 per month after attaining the age of 60 years. Conclusion: in a nutshell, a large number of schemes and programs have been initiated by the government to empower rural communities, especially the marginalized section of the society. These programs provide an excellent opportunity to the excluded section to come forward at the forefront and actively participate in the process of inclusive growth and socio-economic development of the country. While a lot has been achieved in the field of financial inclusion, still there is a scope to take further steps to ensure adequate access to financial services and use of these services by various unserved and underserved segments of the population, particularly in rural areas. The rural urban digital divide needs to immediate attention of the policymaker. In the process of rural empowerment, there are some obstacles like low education, digital and financial literacy, poor access to technology, fewer livelihood opportunities outside agriculture due to low growth of allied sector, lack of skill, etc., which can be easily overcome if government programs and policies are implemented in true spirit. It is imperative to strengthen rural financial institutions to give impetus to some of the underperformed areas through extended outreach of banking, particularly in the hinterland of the country. In fact, the conventional practice of opening new branches to take backing to the doorsteps of customers are becoming redundant day by day. The opening of the more branches, particularly in rural areas, is neither feasible nor viable due to lower clientele per branch. With the present network of their branches, commercial banks should give more impetus to deliver IT-based quality services. The information technology-based financial inclusion should take place of traditional network-based inclusion. The dream of taking banking to the doorstep of poor and underprivileged customers in remote areas can be realized by adopting information technology enabled solution facilitating remote banking. People should be encouraged to make extensive use of net banking and link their accounts to mobilize and to mobile and other handheld connectivity devices. The bank may carry out a survey in their area of operation to find out the margin or migrant laborers excluded from bank network and can relax the KYC norms, know your customer norms to such laborers. The overdraft facility with some limits in no frill account can also be extended to people of lower income groups. There is also enough scope for more players in the financial inclusion sphere. A federation of self-help groups as an autonomous body having no political affiliation should be formed for encouraging people to participate in the process of inclusive growth through financial inclusion. Last but not least, a joint effort on the part of government commercial banks, regional rural banks, cooperative banks, small finance banks, non-banking financial companies, NBFCs, and NGOs supported by general public can play a very important role in providing banking services to the excluded segment of the society and ultimately empower the rural communities. What are the reference? Reference are Samrat Sharma, India's rural urban divide. Village worker earn less than half of city peer. What is the references? First is Economic Survey 2019-20, pmjdy.gov.in, Economic Survey 2019-20 Volume 1, Economic Times, The Economic Times, May 2020, NABARD 2018, All India Rural Financial Inclusion Survey 2016-17, HL Sharma 2019, Non-Farm Activities to Accelerate Agricultural Growth, and RBI report of Internal Working Group to review agricultural credit, RBI National Strategy for Financial Inclusion, and Samrat Sharma, India's Rural-Urban Divide, Village Workers earns less than half of city peer, Financial Express, December 12, 2019. Ramesh Chand S.K. Srivastava, Changing Structure of Rural Economy of India, Implications for Employment and Growth, Niti Aayog Discussion Paper, November 2017. The author is Associate Professor of Economic Government College, Jukhala District, Bilaspur, Himachal Pradesh. Thank you very much.